Economics often kicks off with these really simple, elegant ideas that seem to explain the entire world. But we all know the real world is, well, a lot messier. So today, we're going to dive into why those simple models are both absolutely essential and sometimes kind of dangerous. This quote from Adam Smith, it's pretty much where it all begins. It's the core idea of what we call the invisible hand. It's this wild theory that millions of people, all just looking out for themselves, can accidentally create a system that works out for everybody. Think about it. The baker isn't making bread because he's worried about you. He's doing it to pay his bills. But because he does that, you get your dinner. And that one simple idea, it just kind of snowballs into this perfect blueprint, right? A theoretical model of how the economy should work. On paper, it's this incredibly efficient, self-correcting machine. Okay, so at the absolute heart of this machine is the engine, supply and demand. It's such a simple but powerful idea. The price of literally anything, from your coffee to a new car, is basically set by this constant tug of war between how much of it is out there and how badly people want it. And these four laws are supposed to work like clockwork. Let's say a new video game drops, and everybody goes nuts for it. That's demand shooting up. You get a shortage, and the price goes up. On the flip side, if a company makes way too many cars, you get a surplus, and the price has to come down. It's this constant dance to find the sweet spot, what economists call equilibrium. So when you put it all together, this theoretical model is just elegant. It suggests that if you just leave markets alone, they'll figure everything out. Resources will magically flow to where they're needed most, guided by prices. A perfect blueprint. But, and this is the big but, what happens when that perfect blueprint smacks right into the messy, complicated real world? Well, this is where things get interesting. This is where we start to see the first crack appear in that perfect foundation. It happens when we try to force reality to fit a simple policy, and in the process, we ignore that complex machine churning away underneath. So yeah, let's just ask it straight up. What happens when a government just steps in and says, nope, forget the market, the price is this now? Let's look at a real-world test case, shall we? Okay, so picture this. It's 1971. President Nixon is dealing with rising inflation. His solution seems simple enough. Just freeze all prices and wages by law. And you know what? In the short term, it looked like a genius move. He even won re-election. But behind the scenes, his own economists were probably sweating because they knew you just can't ignore the blueprint. And what happened next is like a textbook case of cause and effect. First, you force prices down. Well, what are producers going to do? If they can't make a profit, they just stop making as much stuff. Meanwhile, what are we doing as consumers? We see a great deal and we want to buy it all. And what you get when supply goes down and demand goes up? Yep, shortages. It was completely, totally predictable. Okay, so this whole story brings us to what might be the single most important lesson in all of economics. You have to learn to think beyond the immediate, obvious effects of any action. You ever hear economics called the dismal science? It's not because it's boring, trust me. It's because it's the one field that forces us to look at the hard stuff, the long-term consequences, and the painful trade-offs that politicians and simple soundbites love to ignore. It really boils down to two ways of thinking. Stage one thinking is all about the here and now. It's the immediate, visible result. Hey, let's make things cheaper. It feels great, it's an easy win. But stage two thinking, that's the real economic thinking. It asks the tough questions about the ripple effects, the hidden costs, and all the unintended consequences that pop up later. And here's the best part. I'm going to give you the most powerful tool for thinking like an economist. It's just 3 little words. And then what? Asking that question automatically forces you to move from stage 1 to stage 2. But, it's easy to blame policies for messing up the perfect blueprint. The truth is, it's not just about policy. It's us. We, the people, are the biggest wild card of all. Let's take voting, for example. The simple model, the stage 1 idea, makes perfect sense, right? If the economy's booming, you keep the current folks in charge. If it's in the tank, you vote the bums out. Seems totally logical. But here's where it gets really weird. Does what we think is happening with the economy and how we vote because of it actually line up with the real data? The hard numbers like GDP or unemployment? Well, the research says not so much. Turns out, our perception gets warped by a ton of other stuff. I mean, your political party can literally change how you interpret the exact same set of facts. Then you got the media telling you what you should be worried about. And of course, there's just how you feel about everything, which can be totally separate from objective reality. We're just not the rational robots the simple models want us to be. And this is just a mind-blowing reversal. The simple model says the economy drives our politics. But in the real world, a lot of evidence suggests our politics can actually drive how we perceive the economy. The blueprint is messy because people are messy. So, okay, if these simple models can't predict the future perfectly, then what good are they? Well, it means we need a different set of tools. We need to shift our goal from trying to predict the future to just really understanding what's going on. This is a great way to think about it, the difference between statistics and econometrics. Statistics is amazing. It's fantastic at telling us what is happening with the data. But econometrics? That's the detective work. It tries to figure out why it's happening. It's the relentless hunt for cause and effect. And trust me, that hunt is really, really hard. Here's a classic problem. You look at a city and see more cops in high crime areas. So, does that mean the police are causing the crime? No, of course not. It's the other way around. Figuring out which is the chicken and which is the egg is one of the toughest puzzles in the entire field. And that really gets to the heart of it all. The real purpose of economics isn't to give you one single correct answer. It's to give you a framework for thinking, a way to understand the consequences, and most importantly, the trade-offs that come with every single decision. I like to think of it as a menu. With any policy, you have choices. You can go for efficiency, which is all about making the biggest economic pie possible. Or you could choose equity and focus on how that pie gets sliced up. Or maybe stability is what you're after. But here's the catch. You can almost never have it all. Pushing one lever up usually means another one goes down. It's always a trade-off. So we've come full circle. We started with that beautiful, simple blueprint, and we've seen just how complicated and messy the real world really is. So from now on, the next time you hear someone offer a really simple solution to a big, complex economic problem, you'll know exactly what to do. You'll have that one powerful question ready to go. And then what?